Hi everyone, I'm Ken from CryptoTradingKS. If you're new, welcome, and welcome back KS family. Let's run the numbers. Bitcoin currently 2.42% up to 38,117. Ethereum 1.17% up to 2624. From my 30 plus years in financial markets, I explained the smart money mindset to assist you to be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love, gaining real wealth in the process. If you would like daily updates on price movements in the crypto market, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, please subscribe to YouTube. Thank you for being a part of our extended global family. I appreciate you all very much. If you're going through a life pullback at the moment, please know that our community's love and healing thoughts are with you. You're not alone. The sun will come out again, and there's always hope. Yesterday's episode, I spoke a little bit about the art of war and Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu, Art of War, was written approximately 2,500 years ago. In the opening verses of the 13 different chapters, in chapter 1, Sun Tzu said, "War, it is a matter of life and death, a road either to safety or to ruin. Hence, it is a subject of inquiry which can on no account be neglected." I would strongly argue that you should read this book. It is really, really good. And for example, when we look at military tactics, for 2,500 years, it's absolutely been standard practice to deceive your opponents, to use the element of surprise, to seek to win without fighting, and to cut off any support, no remote intervention. This is normal. Sometimes it can be really hard to comprehend what's going on in these geopolitical situations. We've had a war waging in the Donbass region for many, many years. Potentially the best way to explain this is through or via a cartoon. There's three little things that I picked up on social media. This is Russia and its attack on Finland during World War II. This particular thing says the old story, "You gave me insufferable provocation. When I wanted to rob you, I found you had locked the door." So this guy has got a hammer, he's bashed in the lock, and Finland's going, "Oh, what are you doing down there?" Finland gave the Russians an absolute run for their money in World War II. They didn't progress very much, and later Finland took it all back. Let's have a look at what we're looking at in this cartoon. This guy says this is his house. No, we've never had Russian neighbors. You're the first. So basically, this is what an annexing looks like. For example, if your neighbor decided to build their fence out and annex part of your property, what would you do? This is exactly what President Putin said when he recognized these two regions here. What he was basically saying is, okay, Ukraine, I recognize that the neighbor can just extend their boundaries into your land. And of course there's been a war that's been in full flight for many, many years. But it's the concept of what would you say if your neighbor built their fence into your property? Many of the world's leaders basically say, okay, if you build your fence into our property, for example, Ukraine's property, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to increase your electricity bill and maybe stop you from getting certain deliveries of, maybe Uber. This is not held up to be a very good idea. That tactic was tried in World War I and World War II with great loss coming at the end of it. I think, let me know in the comments what you would do. If your neighbor decided to build their fence into your property, if you had a house, for example, what would you do? Would you, for example, just say, "Oh, it's okay, I didn't really need that land"? Would you take some tools and demolish the fence? What would you do? Would you call the police and have them come around? Would you take the neighbor to court These are all things that are actually happening on a country by country basis in the global theatre. I'd like to give out a special thanks to Martin Vecina, who gave me this URL yesterday. It's fantastic. It's liveuamap.com. Martin is one of the CTKS ambassadors. He has one of, well, the highest honor in crypto technical analysis. And if you want to contact Martin, you can just reach him on Twitter here. We have also other ambassadors as well that you can reach out to and contact. This particular website, liveuamap.com, is one of the best I've actually seen. It's fantastic in terms of being able to drill in and to see what's actually unfolding. And you can actually go back in time as well. You can hit the time key here and look at, for example, yesterday. What happened yesterday across this area? What happened the day before? The day before. And you can literally drill back for potentially many, many years. Whatever you like. I think it's a really, really good resource. It contextualizes a lot of things. A lot of times when you read the news, it can be very difficult to understand what particular parties are up to. West unveils sanctions with more ready if Russia carries out full-scale Ukrainian invasion. What does this basically mean? Basically, a sanction is some kind of economic cost. For example, if we look at this cartoon, if this is real, for example, this is Ukraine, this is Russia. Russia has basically annexed parts of the Donbass region by saying they're independent. And then they've signed joint cooperation agreements and they're moving their troops into those regions because they are pro-Russian. The concept with a sanction, I'm going to fine you. I'm going to stop you selling your stuff, for example, or I'm going to stop you getting money. That could be all well and good if that's the focus, if money is the focus. But sometimes in wars, philosophical issues are the focus. Resources are the focus. In fact, in just about every single war, there's been a philosophical / resource focus behind the war. Basically, from a resources perspective, when a warring party, when someone goes to war with someone else, they basically want their stuff or they want them to think the way they do. I always use the McDonald's example. The McDonald's concept of war is something like this. Somebody loves McDonald's, so the whole world must eat McDonald's. They can't have Burger King, they can't have Pizza Hut, or KFC, or Wendy's, or Taco Bell. They just can't have it. If they eat that stuff, it's an affront to that person who only wants the world to eat McDonald's. How absolutely ludicrous. Just eat what you want. Unfortunately, this is a scarcity mentality, and many, many people have it. Looking at both sides, looking at the fact that you may love McDonald's, but you don't necessarily think that Burger King should be shut down, or KFC should go out of business, or Pizza Hut, or Taco Bell. It's the nature of the world to have choice, and when we remove choice and force people down one path only, that is not a good thing. Time and time again, many wars are fought over resources, not just ideology or philosophy, but also resources. For example, people want arable land where they can grow crops. They want oil. All of these things combined create the concept of war. War is such a stupid thing. Unfortunately, it's all around the world, and the world hasn't enjoyed any continuous peace, ever. I believe that until the world moves to an abundance methodology about how to live life, which is all about real wealth and maintaining a positive excellence life trend, it's about integrity, doing what we say we're going to do. It's not about deception, which is a hallmark of warfare and something that Sun Tzu talks a lot about. Inner and outer peace comes from strength and boundaries, courage and honor, fearlessness, purpose. And of course, most importantly, kindness. What we see is a world that is very out of control, very unkind. The only way this is ever going to change is if people gain an understanding of the rules of wealth. There is no scarcity in this world, there's only abundance. But if people have a scarcity mindset, that's all they'll ever see. That's why I always share Rule 781. Crypto technical analysis is a skill, but it's also a philosophy. Crypto technical analysts, and you're one if you're watching this channel, we're all about combating fear. So many people act in fear. They want to throw the first punch. They want to build their fence out onto a neighbor's property because they fear things. That's why life's internal battle is the real battle. I believe that one of the only ways we can put an end to war is to actually help people get over their fear and get over their inadequacies. It's only when we feel inadequate in some way that we are hit by fear with full force. In the crypto market, we're like firefighters. We go into the market when it's red. We look for opportunities when everybody else is fleeing. We are fearless. Just as Sun Tzu did the art of war, crypto technical analysts scientifically track investor attention. We have a science behind what we do. We draw our support and resistance lines in a very specific way with very structured standards. We look at outside trends. We check world events, collect probabilities, check the stock market. That's why we're interested in what is happening with Russia and Ukraine. Then we look into timing. We know that opportunities reset daily. We enhance our pattern recognition so we can find the market's focus. We're all about real wealth. We control our fear. We actually harness fear inside the market for our benefit, not our detriment. And then when we do what we do, we patiently apply the 10-5-10 rule. We make volatility our best friend. It was a blood red day yesterday, and I said to the community that I would read out certain comments. I'd just like to thank Brandon. Absolutely invaluable content. We are being equipped with world-class trading and life knowledge. Thank you, my friend. We talked a lot about capitulation events and how to use percentages. Isaac said, I would buy a capitulation event in a heartbeat. Well done, my friend. Very strong and very correct. And thank you to Yanni. Profitability is made where you buy. Absolutely, my friend. And to Simple Lee, black swans can be a blessing versus a negative. And Buildy says, no fear here. And to Via Frequency, I so appreciate you always encouraging us to look behind the curtain or veil in order to get to the root of what is truly occurring, regardless of the illusion presented. Thank you, my friend. And to Edmund, continuous mindset adjustments are just too valuable. Tales from the Man Cave said, I'm not worried. The beautiful thing is, especially as a masterclass student, that we have our charts marked up, our perspectives correct, and are ready to dance with price action like dancers in Swan Lake. Can't help but think of the movie Black Swan with Natalie Portman today. Yeah, that was a really interesting movie. The only thing that is a little tough is that many of us, me included, have been buying as we came down for a long time, and funds have been drying up. I was still able to move a few last orders further down. After that, a nice lift-off would be in order so we can all build up more working capital to deploy on the next Black Swan, which is surely leaving its nest already. Thank you, Tails. Thank you, Crawford, for your very kind words. And Dan said, there is a good probability the price will go down because of the macro events. This is the important thing that Dan writes. If not, then I have some sell levels set. If we trade sideways, I do nothing. Now I look at the market and be patient. Whatever happens. That's just beautiful, Dan. That's the embodiment of what we're after. Dan's comments all relate to make in advance probabilistic choices, know what you will do, and have the integrity to follow through. Keep your word to yourself is really important. If price comes down, what will you do? If it goes up, what will you do? If it goes sideways, what will you do? There are so many beautiful comments. I would absolutely urge you to go and read what our community talks about, because they're the most incredible people. I feel so blessed to be in front of you each day, 7 days a week. It's just lovely. Flamingo said, "It is crucial to avoid fear and to sweep fearful thoughts from our minds." It's really all about gaining the knowledge and the understanding and the mental control, which is so important, and to be empowered to have this market work in your favor. Thank you, Flamingo. And there's so many beautiful comments. Please go through them and have a look. That's just the best community. And if you're not part of our community, we would love you to be part. Just as Sun Tzu did his scientific structure, we'll go through ours now. When we search for Bitcoin, we can see Ukraine coming up and a Russian-Ukraine conflict, a lot of issues. When we look at the markets, we understand the stock market and the bond market are really, really large. Gold is a very tiny market compared to stocks, but crypto is the tiniest market compared to all of them. We understand that crypto is the ownership layer of the next evolution of the internet. If you could have gone back all those decades ago and invested in the internet, would you have done so? If you could have invested in Amazon or Facebook, Meta, or any of those internet companies, would you have done so? When you look at crypto, you're being asked exactly the same question, but you can do something about it. When we look at the S-curves, the adoption curves here, crypto is just literally taking off. It's only starting its adoption cycle. Turning to the KS model, which is a crypto technical trading model based on institutional price psychology, one thing that's really important to understand, when we go to the KS model, this is the actual live price of Bitcoin. When we have a black swan event, a capitulation event, it actually lengthens the market. We can see black swans occurring at all sorts of times. Unfortunately, we've had black swan after black swan after black swan after black swan recently, and this latest one about global sanctions on Russia has effectively derailed that particular estimate as the market peak at the 25th of May 2022. Good on you, Russia. But the most critical thing to understand, we are still in the bull market cycle. The next minimum low would be anticipated as $132,418. When I say minimum low, I mean that Bitcoin's price would be expected to get above that. We may have a lengthening here, but this is just about global geopolitical events. If we didn't have the China miner exodus, if we didn't have Evergrande, if we didn't have Fed tightening and Russia, especially Russia and Ukraine crisis right now, we definitely would have hit that 25th of May 2022. But it's still going up. It's not as though it's coming down. Now, why do I say that? Because this is really important to understand. You can see this red line. We always buy on the red. I used to have a green to indicate buy there, but I think it's red is a better indication because it actually captures the really negative sentiment. When the price is going down, people don't want anything to do with it. They want to go out and buy, for example, a car, a house, whatever you think, electrical equipment, a TV, a computer, a mobile phone. You want to buy those at a discount, but for some reason people want to pay more than retail price for crypto. It's crazy stuff, isn't it? But this red band here actually supports price incredibly well. We wouldn't anticipate it to go lower than that. We're looking currently at 26,520 as this lower bound. We may get a spike below it. If we do, anything on the other side of this red line is money for nothing. If we do see any prices coming down below this red line, lean in to them heavily. They won't last for long. One really important point to actually share with you: when people enter the crypto market, they think that they can only make money when there's a bull market. That's simply not the case. If you know the laws of trading and the laws of money, and especially the laws of wealth, you can make money no matter what time. The masterclass students know this incredibly well. Inside every masterclass lesson, I share one thing that I have never shared in public before. And there are 168 lessons in the masterclass. What happens when people move out of the panic zone and the blame zone? They get rid of certainty. They move into probability. They can make money if the price is coming down, going up, going sideways. It just doesn't matter. If you missed yesterday's episode, I would urge you to have a look at it. It shows you how you can take advantage of black swans. In fact, black swans are the best money-making things out there to hit markets. They're like a gift. They're not something to be scared of. They're something to be excited about. We can see in the US market, fear has come down a little bit. And these are the futures, NASDAQ futures. So that's why they're live trading at the moment. We can see that this has come up a little bit. Oil has just retraced slightly. It's just heading into resistance at the moment. We can see bond prices hit resistance, charged through it and got rejected back to it. We can see bond yields finding a level of consolidation. We can see gold spiked up but couldn't maintain it. It's come down. And we can see the US dollar is just wavering. It's still going up in terms of support. All of these factors are really, really important. When people get into the crypto market, they just wanted to look at their beloved alts. They don't care about the stock market. They don't care about what's happening in Ukraine. And so therefore, they pick up a gun like this and they fire, they get ready, and then they aim. Or they potentially light switch, go all in or all out, buy the green, sell the red. You don't want to do these things. You want to put that gun down. Say no to guns. Basically, what you want to do is to buy red and sell green and pick up a dart and seek to throw high quality darts around the bullseye. Sometimes you'll get the bullseye, sometimes you won't. Sometimes it takes a lot of time for the bullseye to come to the dart. That's why we make three-way decisions. We understand the percentages. We've got lots of rules and lots of patience. We use the CTKS method to mark up the charts. We know what's happening. We're not caught off guard. We know what's occurring inside the market. We have our 10-5-10 fund. One person in the comments said, "What's a 10-5-10 fund?" Okay, it basically goes like this. If you buy at $10, any crypto, for example, and it goes down to $5, you've lost 50%. But if it just recovers back to the initial 10, it's gone up 100%. And cryptos recover all the time. That's why we always buy negative, buy on red, because it puts the percentages in our favor. We can see the Russian market has had a small bounce here. When looking at the transportation indexes, they basically follow the NASDAQ. They follow the major indices, but we can see the airlines index here in white starting to recover, starting to get over resistance. That will mean that the airlines will start to move towards profitability again. That also means, what do people do when they hop on a plane? They go and have a holiday. They get into restaurants, bars, hotels. They do touristy things. This is going to be really good for the tourist sector as well. That's what is commonly referred to as the reopening trade. We also track so many different things. One thing is, the Fed wants to reduce their balance sheet. It was previously $8.88 trillion. It's actually gone a leg up. What is it now? $8.911 trillion. Oops, Fed didn't quite get it right, not yet. But we can see the money stock, M1 and M2, both coming down. Inflation 5-year is coming up, and the 10-year is just consolidating, not as fast as the 5-year, but just consolidating. Inflation is really good for Bitcoin. If we look at the Chinese property market, we can see the Chinese property market giants are starting to come up. Not so much Evergrande, but the other ones are starting to come up. There's starting to be a degree of recovery. What we see in the markets is still an elevated fear level. We may be getting some technical bounces here, but I believe momentum could well be probabilistically to the negative side. Gold gives us a bit of understanding how that's going, and gold is actually turning around from a long-term perspective. Understanding that crowd psychology creates price. What we see here, looking at the crypto fear and greed index, we're under extreme fear. Extreme fear is often the best place to possibly buy. When looking at Bitcoin future open interest, we can see increasing support lines here. I'll just show you what I mean. This is what I see when I look at Bitcoin futures open interest. And why is this important? We can see when futures open interest actually increases, the price of Bitcoin increases. When it comes down, futures open interest comes down, the price of Bitcoin comes down. What are we seeing here? A very tight resistance line has just been overcome. What do we also see here? Support, increasing support. We could have a slight derailment of this because of Russia and Ukraine tension. Please bear that in mind. We always have to factor in what is happening in the global economy. But from a probabilistic stance, it's looking quite good. Looking at Bitcoin options and options expiring at the end of February, what we can see here, there's a lot of open interest at that $50,000 level. And then how does it change for the next month? A lot of open interest at the $50,000 level as well. Traders and investors are expecting 50,000 or higher. You can see here in March all the way up to 400,000. It's not as though people are basically saying, I expect zero, and you see all the puts accumulating down the lower area. You see exactly the opposite, but we must be mindful of Russia and Ukraine. That's very much like the China miner exodus. I don't encourage anybody to use any form of derivatives or leverage trading. You don't really need to. When you look at the volatility inherent in crypto, it's there, it's baked into it. You do not need to get leverage, but you do need leverage in the stock market and the forex market. That's why a lot of people think you need leverage in the crypto market. You don't. Just buy at spot. Then if the price action turns against you, you can wait it out, you can hold. Rule 45, no alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity. The prospects of increasing tension in Russia and Ukraine are driving global markets down, and we can see that there's been negative price momentum with Bitcoin. It's recovered to a degree. It's finding a cradle of support, but I wouldn't read too much into this at the moment. What I have found out through trading through many black swan events is that you can get this kind of behavior. Just be really, really on the ball with this. It's possible that you could look at the market and say, nothing's wrong, everything is fine. If we get confirming signals that gold is coming down, bond prices are coming down, the fear is coming down in the main market, the Nasdaq is starting to rally up, these would be really, really good signs. For example, if I overlay gold's price, you can see gold is acting inversely to Bitcoin at the moment. Just keep that in mind. This is the Nasdaq's price behavior. You can see Bitcoin closely correlating. These are the futures, the Nasdaq futures. Even though there's increasing open interest in the market, the shorts are really not biting at the moment. To new investors and traders, this can all be a little bit overwhelming because they just want a simple answer. Where do I buy? Where do I sell? You will never get those answers. And if somebody gives you one, they really realistically don't know what they're talking about. You always want to go on the side of probability. Probability sets various levels for scaling in and scaling out. The critical thing is to build up your skill and your knowledge. Understand what you're actually doing, what things mean at a really deep level, and get your emotional mindset, emotional control under control. That is really, really vital in crypto, but it's also vital in life. The other thing to remember, price is always moving in a wave. It's always coming down and then up and then down. It is the nature of price because people oscillate between fear and greed, optimism and pessimism. Turning to the top 8, I'd like to give you a bit of an understanding as to what you should look for with your cryptos. It's always good to remember we've been coming down for 104 days. I'd just like to say thank you to Johnny. A community born in fire doesn't fear fire, and we don't. What Johnny's referring to is that we started the channel right here when price was just plummeting downwards and correctly called this low of around 30,000. What you will see time and time again in crypto is a negative dimension bias, and that is because the fear in the crypto market is really, really strong. It's such a volatile asset field, and it's actually impacted by particular global news, such as the Russia issue at the moment. It will be impacted. It's been impacted like this, but we don't see any capitulation event like this. This is actually what I'm looking for. I was on Twitter tracking the C19 outbreak when it was called SARS-CoV-2 and all sorts of different names. What we saw was the actual market rallying on the news of a global pandemic just about to hit everything. People said that they couldn't possibly foresee this sell down. We saw it. It was absolutely on the way. But notice how it wobbles around here. These type of legs down, that's actually what we're looking for. That's why I'm saying don't get too excited if you see the markets going a little bit green. What we're actually interested in, because of this news and because of the importance of this news, some news is more signal than other news. If we've got a potential world war about to break out, we need to be sensible. We need to look at it and say, I want to buy down here. I don't want to buy there. Of course, over time, it will repair. Absolutely. And if you're a long-term investor, you can just hold on. And that is absolutely fine. We're very early in the crypto adoption. But if you can buy down here, that is the ultimate. That is what we do. We actually have a specialization in it. And you may not have to wait too long because these things can play out really quickly. From the breakdown of this to the bottom was only 6 days. And then we saw a recovery of around 164% over the next 56 days. These capitulations are shortly lived. The overwhelming key is that we're in the bull market psychology. We're not in a bear market. Many people think that we're in a bear market. I think that it's only because they're using retail thinking, not professional smart money thinking. The same thing was said when we saw this really big sell-off, and that was a very, very big sell-off. What we saw in here was price dropping, just literally plummeting down. This is why I was saying it's a good thing to set your buy levels lower. Let's have a look at Ethereum. Ethereum, we can see, has been holding up quite well, but what we're looking for is a climactic sell-off. It's not come yet, but just keep your eye open. Just always know what you will do if it goes up, down, or sideways. And there's nothing wrong with actually participating in a trade at any stage. What it is that we're just preparing ourselves that if we do see something like this, we can take advantage of it. It's better to be forewarned and forearmed in this particular case, because you want to use volatility as your friend. You don't want it to be your enemy, because it's not. It's just an inherent part of the crypto market. XRP, we can see, is bouncing. What Bitcoin does, the alts will do, but the alts do it a lot more to the upside and to the downside. We can see ADA bouncing as well. Solana is bouncing. Luna is looking very interesting at the moment. Don't forget that sometimes what you will find is Bitcoin can come down and some of the alts will diverge. They'll actually go up. It's about 1% of the alts, so we'll be keeping our eyes open for those as well. AVAX, also a strong bounce here. A lot of people talk about the fundamentals, the tokenomics, but technicals beat fundamentals, especially at times like this. That's Rule 74. One thing that you want to be very aware of at this particular time, always track Bitcoin. Bitcoin is influenced by external events. The major one being the gravity of the stock market and the bond market. We've also seen gold acting inversely in terms of Bitcoin's price, but the fundamentals of the market will override in the long term. We know that crypto is the ownership layer of the next evolution of the internet of value, and it's growing and growing and growing and will continue to grow for decades to come. We know it's at the absolute start of its adoption cycle, and it will increase and go parabolic. I'd like to share a key understanding, and that is that black swans don't derail, they just lengthen. So what happens with a black swan? It just needs time to be repaired, if it happens. And we're always expecting black swans because we love black swans. Black swans are cool. And the only reason that they're cool is that we understand the mathematics behind them. When price goes down a lot, it comes back up a heck of a lot more. For example, this was a 58.44% drop, but the rally that came after was nearly 165%. We always keep this in mind. Bitcoin is currently trading at 37,670. Let me know in the comments where you think Bitcoin might be headed to next. Is he headed up to FOMO or headed down to FUD? Come on, Percy, get it together, my friend. And please let me know what you think about the Russia-Ukraine situation. How do you think that is actually going to play out? I'd like to also thank Greg for his comment. Ken, this is absolutely the best review of current events and black swans I have ever seen from you or anyone else. Your dedication to sharing your knowledge is both inspiring and empowering. Your masterclass should be taken by everyone, crypto immersed or not. Thanks, Greg. Very nice words. There's many different perspectives on Russia and Ukraine. Flo gave a different one. Flo said, I do not believe that Russia's little Donbass ploy was unexpected at all. I don't think Russia wants anything to do with a war either. We must understand that Russia wants to establish an equilibrium just as badly as the West does. It's just a matter of how and how long it takes for markets to get the signal, whatever it's going to be. It's very wise words. Thank you, Flo. And to Kyle and to Joe, it was very much, these comments are very much about when we expect either lengthening cycles or a new all-time high. I think we need to wait a little. Sometimes as a professional investor and a professional trader, you have to actually digest. The markets need to digest what is happening to price, and then you can make better probabilistic choices. It's not really about throwing numbers out there unless you've got substantial supportive probabilities behind them. And the attitude towards black swans in Zone 3 is exactly what Friedensis said here. Remembering March of 2020, I would buy any black swan. The deeper price goes, the better. Excellent, my friend. That's what it's all about. Just keep this picture in your mind. You are a professional firefighter. You have all the gear. You have the knowledge. You're not going into a burning building with jeans and a t-shirt on. You've got the right equipment, the right knowledge. You know what to do, and you know how to think, and you know how to put that fire out. I hope you found the content useful. Please consider sharing and liking this video if you think it will help others. I'd love to know your thoughts on what the current process will be inside the market from your perspective. Do you think it's going up, going down? How do you think the markets will react to what is going on right now? Thank you very much to our moderators for keeping our community safe from scammers, the CTKS ambassadors for mentoring masterclass students, and of course a very big thank you to you for watching and being part of our global KS family. Please say hi and let me know if you have any questions. If you would like daily updates on price movements in the crypto market 7 days a week, 365 days a year, please subscribe to YouTube. I've left helpful links in the description of this video, such as the link to the CryptoTradingKS Masterclass. Please seek out an ambassador to get 80% off. Please remember, crypto is volatile. Always prepare yourself for the best and worst case scenarios. Reality will likely be between them. Stay safe out there, my friends. Take care and see you next time. Bye for now.